Hello, Simon Gorsworth of RIO Products here, talking to you today about the InTouch Skagit Max Game Changer. And this is a Skagit shooting head for the salmon and steelhead angler. And we call it the Game Changer because it's a radically different type of line for casting and fishing. What it is a multiple density line. This one here is what's called an FHI, a floater, goes into a hover, goes into an intermediate front end. And the reason you want these multiple densities is very, very simple. When you take a floating line, it's going to be fat for a certain weight. The same weight sinking line, it's going to be really thin. And where those two meet normally have a hinge point. So it affects your casting and it affects your fishing. You get these kind of angled drops on the fishing. So when you transition densities smoothly from one to the other with multiple in-between densities, you get a much better casting line. So it's cast like a floater, not like a sink tip, which is awesome. And when it fishes at this lovely straight angle throughout the swing. So you maintain contact with the fly all times. The FHI is that one. This is a little bit quicker sinking. This is floater, hover, intermediate, sink 3. So it's got a fairly mid sinking speed front end, gets a little bit deeper in the water column. If you're swinging, this is going to swing in that sort of 3 to 5 foot depth. And then the real dredger one, this is an awesome king line. This is a fantastic winter steelhead line because it gets down so far and it swings so slow. This is the floater to intermediate to sink 3 to sink 5. So your front end is sink 5, so it really gets down in the holes. And because they're Skagit lines, you do have to put a tip on. Right? So you've got to put some kind of tip. And most people do put on Mo tips. That's a real common type of tip to put on with your Skagit lines. But be careful because a lot of the Mo tips have this floating back section. And that's no good on the front of a sinking line, right? Obviously. So if you're fishing something in the FHI range and you want to fish just a little bit below the surface, you can quite easily put on an IMO. An IMO is a Mo tip that is I, and that's in the intermediate section. So that will flow very nicely on the FHI. But it's no good on the sink 3 or the sink 5 version because of course you have that intermediate bit. So when you're fishing the sink 3 and the sink 5, the faster ones, you really need to go to your full sinking Mo tips or your T tips, your T8s, T11s, T14s. Or another option is just to go to your regular replacement tips. So this is a sink 8 replacement tip. This is a sink 6 replacement tip. So these tips are really perfect to add to either of those lines. And of course this one here is the sink 3 replacement tip, and that's not really a good choice to go on the end of the sink 5 because again you get this weird transition of densities. So just basically think about what the density is of the front of your Skagit, put on the right tip for it, and that is the Skagit Max Game Changer. You can get it at your local RIO dealer or get it online.
RIO. Make the connection.